Hi, friends. Thanks for being here with me today. I'm Ruby, and I hope you all are doing well today. I wanted to just play a couple clips for you from, sorry about this, but CNN. And they're talking with a doctor, I believe her name is Dr. Wen, and she is discussing coronavirus vaccines. And so I just want you to hear what she has to say. Um, we are definitely being behavior managed, if you will. As having a background in mental health services and behavior programs and things like that, I know when somebody is trying to use behavior modification on me because I used to plan that kind of stuff all the time, and that is what's happening. I can see the effects of it in friends and family that I know. So anyway, I just wanted to share a few clips with you. Neither one of them are very long, but I want you to listen to what this doctor has to say and how she says it. So, hopefully you'll listen all the way through, and I definitely hope you leave your thoughts in the comments below, and let's have some conversation. So, all right, gonna dig in now. So let's see. Let me get rid of that. Yeah, I think I'll play this one first. Here is Dr. Wen. This is just within the last week, speaking with Cuomo. Oh, and on a side note, let's not let Governor Cuomo get away with the deaths of people, okay? I believe that's being overshadowed with some other important situations, but we need to not let that go away. So, anyway, back to this. Yeah, let me just play it. I'll probably stop along the way. Okay, here we go. Let's listen to what Dr. Wen has to say.
My main concern is that we're not going to reach herd immunity because of vaccine hesitancy.
Now, let's not forget that herd immunity, as we've always known it, was just, within the last 6 months, redefined. Excuse me. Herd immunity never has had anything to do with vaccines. And just 6 months ago, they changed the definition to be vaccine based. Just something to look up on your own time.
And I know that's hard for a lot of people to believe who desperately want the vaccine right now.
Are you knocking down the door for the vaccine? Maybe you are, but I don't know that many people knocking down the door for the vaccine.
And they're thinking, oh, well, it's just a small percentage of people who are actually anti-vaxxers. And that's true. There is the anti-science, anti-vaxxer contingent.
So you're anti-science if you pay attention to side effects and things like heavy metals in your body. I'm not anti-vax, to be honest with you. I was vaccinated. I had my son vaccinated early on and all that. It's not about being anti-vax. It's about being anti-COVID vaccinated.
But I think that there are many more people, millions of people who, for whatever reason, have concerns about the vaccine, who just
Yeah, for whatever reasons. Who knows why they could possibly have any concerns.
don't know what's in it for them. And we need to make it clear to them that
I think we do know what's in it for us. That's the problem.
the vaccine is the ticket back to pre-pandemic life. And the window to do that is really narrowing.
So basically, hurry up. People are starting to become free, and if we don't hurry up, we can't enslave them even more. Okay, that might be a little hyperbolic, but I'm just saying that's the way it kind of comes off.
you were mentioning, Chris, about how all these states are reopening. They're reopening at 100%. And we have a very narrow window to tie reopening policy to vaccination status. Because otherwise, if everything is reopened, then what's the carrot going to be? How
Do you hear that? Okay, to tie vaccination status to reopening. So you want to do stuff, you have to be vaccinated. You want to go anywhere, you have to be vaccinated. So my wondering is, are we not necessarily going to call the vaccines mandatory, but make it basically impossible for you to live your life in any comfortable way if you don't get vaccinated? I mean, that should really disturb people and make people ask some questions, especially since we're talking about a virus that is well over 99 point, probably 6 or 7% non-fatal, non-fatal. And we're pretty clear on the groups that were the most susceptible to severe, consequences from this virus. And of course, we know what happened with someone's brother and how they ignored that science. But we're the ones that are anti-science if we want to question the COVID vaccine. I personally don't care. Anybody can get it. I would never judge anybody. It's fine. I think we should all be allowed to make our own decisions as sovereign beings in this nation. And yeah, let me just finish this video.
How are we going to incentivize people to actually get the vaccine? So that's why I think the CDC and the Biden administration needs to come out a lot bolder and say, if you're vaccinated, you can do all these things. Here are all these freedoms that you have.
Okay, I can only go that far. So why should we have to be incentivized to take it if clear science, which there is none yet, would show that it's useful, that it actually protects people? We don't know that. We do not know that. In the next video I'm going to show you, she's going to make a mention to that, but we haven't had enough study to show that. We have lots of studies on therapeutics and early interventions, but we really don't have that much on this. This is a brand new type of vaccine tested for barely any time, and we're supposed to believe that we have this mountain of data that should make us feel fine about it. I just don't think so. And the only other thing I have to say to this before I let it finish out is that our freedoms are not given to us, and that's probably the most bothersome part. Every time I hear one of these doctors talk more about the vaccine, it actually makes me want to get it less, because they start talking like they're in control of our liberties and our freedoms. And I suppose that's true if we allow that, but that is not the truth. So people have to wake up, So let me finish this.
Because otherwise, people are going to go out and enjoy these freedoms anyway. And I fear a situation of coming into the fall where we never reach herd immunity. And then we get hit by the next surge of COVID-19 in the fall, something that we could have prevented if we just got people vaccinated now.
All right. Well, I'm going to switch over to the next video. I do want to say that there is another video. I'm not going to show it to you, but of Dr. Fauci talking about how the CDC will lessen the restrictions if everybody is a good boy and girl and gets their vaccines and such by July 4th, and the numbers are down. So, again, it just doesn't feel right. So I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying I know exactly what's going on, but I'm telling you how it feels in my gut. So now I want you to listen to Dr. Nguyen. She's reacting to the CDC guidelines, and she actually makes she's kind of going in the right direction. And, this is probably more CNN that I've watched in a long time, especially since I had to do this video twice since my microphone didn't work the first time. But this can't call her a journalist, but this person right here actually asks a few decent questions that I think a lot of people would have regarding this vaccine and your freedoms, which I again remind you are not given to you by the government. So here we go on this one.
Simple question. Can you just explain, if we're talking about these vaccines, explain to me why people who have been fully vaccinated can't just walk around like normal?
Well, here's what we know about these vaccines, all three of these vaccines that have been authorized so far. They are safe. They are extremely effective, especially at preventing severe disease, preventing hospitalization and death, which is wonderful for protecting the individual.
Do we really know that? I mean, I'd certainly like to see the data on that. I encourage you all to go look at the vaccine adverse event reaction data, VAERS. You can probably Google it like that, and go check it out. I don't know that we know that they're completely safe.
There is now growing evidence that getting the vaccines also reduces your likelihood of being a carrier. We don't know exactly how much this reduces that risk, but it's probably substantially lower. And that means maybe in theory you could be asymptomatic yourself, but could infect others, but that chance is still much lower. And so that's actually why I wish that the CDC guidelines went a lot further than they
Now that makes sense. That actually makes sense.
actually did.
Wow. Well, what about, I know that on the point of travel, because everyone's thinking I'm putting myself in that category. All right, whenever I get vaccinated, that means I can finally really feel safe jumping on a plane and going to see certain family members. The airline industry today is really pushing back against these new CDC guidelines that fully vaccinated people should actually still avoid travel. Why is the CDC encouraging people who have been fully vaccinated not to travel?
Now that is an interesting question that I'm going to try to look into a little bit further, but that is a really good question.
So this is one of these examples where I think the CDC is being far overly cautious in a way that defies common sense. Because look at what they're saying about quarantine. So they're saying that if somebody knowingly is exposed to an individual with COVID-19 and they're fully vaccinated, they don't need to test or get quarantined. If you're sitting on a plane, you're not necessarily sitting next to people with COVID-19. You're wearing a mask. Ideally, you're keeping distanced. And so...
Okay, I agree with almost every single thing that she just said there. Absolutely. I mean, when you're traveling, let's be real, you're really not socially distanced. Not that I think you should really have to be anyway, but I'm just saying that's the one part I don't agree with so far. But listen, it's coming. It's coming.
It just doesn't make sense that you can't travel, especially if you now can get together with loved ones. I think a lot of people are eager to see their grandkids who they don't necessarily live with. And so I think it's really important to give the guidance about travel. And I actually would go further and say that people who are fully vaccinated should be able to travel, should be encouraged to travel. And
here it comes.
That's one of those incentives that we can give as a way for restoring freedoms, that you are now able to travel and go visit your loved ones and go to museums and cultural institutions once you're fully vaccinated.
Wow. Okay. Well, there it is. There's the behavior management part. So if you are fully vaccinated, then we can use that travel and giving back your freedoms as an incentive for good behavior. I mean, that's basically what it is. I think the part that concerns me is that many, 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 many people adults have serious questions about the vaccine. Not totally against it, not totally for it by any means, but, when suppression is happening and the voices of many thousands of doctors all around the world are being suppressed, when it goes against what the CDC or the WHO narrative is, they're not anti-science. They have questions. That's what science is about. And when you squash those questions and you silence speech and you refuse to answer questions, basically, here, take this carrot or else, well, that's going to definitely bring about questions in people's minds. And it sure has brought some questions about in my mind. So I'm not in a big rush to get this vaccine. If they really wanted to allow people to make an informed decision, the data would be put forth and people would be allowed to make their decision. But that is not what's happening. And again, I remind you, for a virus that is, well over 99.7 or 8 or whatever it is percent survivable without therapeutics. That's not even considering the therapeutics. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of leave this here with you, and hopefully you will give me your feedback. That's all I have for the moment. I have a bunch of other things coming up. And if you like what you heard, I mean, maybe you didn't like what you heard, and I'm sorry you had to listen to CNN, but if you learned something, if it was interesting, please do give this video a like and maybe even give it a share. And subscribe. It doesn't cost a thing, but it will ensure that we can connect again in the future, and I hope that is the case. I'm somewhat new at this and definitely am having a hard time, not really a hard time, but having a time getting some new people with me on these platforms. YouTube is not super friendly to me, and the topics that I'd like to discuss. So if you could help me out, that'd be great. And hopefully we will connect again in the future. So in the meantime, be happy, be powerful, and be well. Be well, my friends. Take care.